Well, it is my pleasure to introduce our guest speaker today. Kiley Sanders is a former Snow College business student, so he has sat where you are sitting. He knows what it's like. Kiley loves spending time with his family and enjoys most things outdoors. He especially likes riding dirt bikes and playing pickleball. Kiley is the owner and operator of High Mountain Blinds, where he enjoys helping homeowners pick quality window treatments for their home. So please welcome Kiley Sanders.
Okay, testing. This is the first time I've been mic'd up, so thanks, Russ. I'm excited to be here today. I actually haven't sat where you're sitting because this building wasn't here when I came to Snow College. I went to West Campus. The other business building they weren't using that. That was an elementary school. But I played ultimate frisbee right here where you're sitting. But let me get my notes here. So my wife, I don't know if any of you know her, but she's Audrey Sanders, works over, she's an academic advisor. And she met Russ, and then had talked to Russ, and she came home and talked to me and said, hey, I met one of the professors in the business building, and he wondered if you might be interested in come speaking to his class sometime. And I said, sure, yeah, that'd be great. I thought I've got a little bit of business experience, and I like to share. But I didn't know it was a little more formal. I didn't know it was this. I didn't know it was recorded, and I didn't know it was 40 minutes. I was thinking maybe 15 minutes with the class or something. So I started to prepare. Got a little nervous, still excited, started to prepare a little bit. Russ told me about the videos. You can watch some of the videos of previous presenters, and I did, and I don't know if that helped me. I think after watching some of those videos, I just felt real inadequate, like I wasn't qualified to come speak to you today. But I do feel like I do have something valuable to share, even though my business isn't quite where I want it to be right now, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. I do feel like, I do feel successful. This is mine right here. Anyway, so here's my evidence of success, if you want some little bit of credentials here. Just a little bit of history background. This is more of a time filler because it's really quick to tell about my business. But let me give you a little bit of history. But first, I'm going to tell you what I want to share with you, what I want you to go away with, some things that I wish I had known. And maybe I did know a little bit of this when I was in your position, but don't wait to be your future self. Develop good habits and break bad ones. Find it's supposed to say it's not. Find who's in your life and focus on the gains. So I grew up, I was born in Panguitch, Utah. When I was 10, we moved to Aurora. I graduated North Sevier High School, but my dad was a logger. He was a logger for 30 years. When I was 15 years old, I started probably 14. I was sharpening chainsaws, and I was the gas and oil guy for those running the chainsaws. But I started doing that, it was logging's kind of. I did that with my brothers and my dad. We had the opportunity to work with my dad. He owned his own business. And it was kind of a love-hate relationship for me. It was miserable. It was miserable. We got up in the early mornings. It was cold, and then in the afternoon it got hot. I had to carry a heavy chainsaw up and down the hillsides. But it was in the blood, right? And after high school, I went on an LDS mission to the Marshall Islands, and then I came to Snow College. I knew that I wanted to own my own business someday. But I couldn't figure out what that was. I couldn't figure out the what or the how. I knew that I wanted to make a lot of money, and I knew I wanted to be have control over my own time and be my own boss. That's all you need to know, right? But it took me a long time to figure out what to do. I came here. I trimmed trees while I was here. I graduated from snow, and then I transferred over to SUU into the business department at SUU. I didn't plan on going to conventional college. I was going to do something more technical. I just wanted to go out and make business, but I did. I went to college. I learned a lot there. I got to SUU, and I wanted to do something easy, something I was interested in, but get through school as quick as I could and start making money. I found hospitality management, hotel resort and hospitality management. And I thought, hey, that sounds interesting. I'd never had experience working in a hotel, but that sounds interesting. So I started doing that degree, and I started working at a hotel and worked at the front desk. I think I was pretty good at it, pretty good at customer service. But I learned a couple things. Number one, I love people. And the second thing was working at a hotel made me hate people. So I realized by the time I graduated in hotel resort and hospitality management, I realized I don't want to manage a hotel. So back to the drawing board, right? I actually went into maintenance at the hotel and worked 2 years of maintenance, and I was like, this is cool. I love this. Is not mundane, a lot of variety of stuff. And then I transferred to a senior center, and I did maintenance there. Very rewarding, but I saw myself maybe I liked it so much. I thought I'm going to be here for the next 20 years, and but I wanted to make more money. Right? This is so I transferred to another senior center and made a little bit more money there, and then I went and did title work. I got a title license and did title insurance stuff, and then I went and did health insurance stuff. I moved my family, went and did health insurance stuff, and then I'll get to the point here, but I want to list off all the things, not because not to brag. It's actually not the best thing for a resume to show that you're a job hopper, right? But the reason why is because I want you to know that I was interested in a lot of things. I was passionate about a few things. I was expert at nothing. I wasn't confident enough to start my own business in anything. I was looking for something new and innovative and something that I was real passionate about, and I never found it. So I did roofing, road construction. I worked at a salt mine, window washer. I did blinds. I got my ham radio license. I got my commercial drone license. I thought that was pretty cool and exciting. I moved my family a lot of times. We moved, I don't know, Audrey, how many times off the top of your head? At least 11 times. So let's kind of get to what the point of this here. So here's my brothers, and here's us riding motorcycles. Well, we're not riding motorcycles here, but here's in the middle of our motorcycle riding trip, probably on a Wednesday afternoon, because they own their own businesses and they can do that on a Wednesday afternoon. I could take off and do that on a Wednesday afternoon because I worked for two of my brothers that owned their own business and could take off on a Wednesday afternoon. And that kind of fueled my desire one of the things. So I started working with my brothers, Chip and Shane, doing blinds. Chip had done blinds for probably 15 years at that time. He was a Snow College graduate, and he was an SUU graduate in business, and he got a business loan and started his blinds business. He had a little bit of experience there, washing windows and doing blinds, and he started his blinds business. I was ready to switch careers, and he said, "Hey, come work with us, and we're going to grow the business a little bit." So I went and started working with them. Really enjoyed it, and we could take off sometimes on a Wednesday if we schedule it in and go motorcycle riding. We met a group of guys who liked to take motorcycle trips, and they invited us on a motorcycle trip to Moab, and then 6 months later to another trip. And these guys, just about all of them, had their own business. I would say they were successful business people. They could afford to take time off, and they could work out their schedules in a way that they could go take a motorcycle trip. And so I was surrounded by people who were living the life that I wanted to live, and it motivated me a little bit to start searching for my business, what I wanted to do. Well, my brother Chip and Shane decided that they might sell the business. And I wasn't ready to, they wanted to move on. They wanted to do another business. I wasn't ready to do that. And I said, well, what if I start my own thing? Will you guys help me through it? And that's where I want to talk about. So one of the guys that we rode motorcycles with has built several businesses and sold them for a significant amount of money. And he's actually developing a program to help other entrepreneurs like him build businesses. And as part of his program, he said, I want you to read these 3 books. And we wanted to be part of his program, but his program wasn't up and going yet. But the beginning of his program is reading these 3 books. So these are my book suggestions. If you don't get anything else out of this today, I hope that you'll take at least one of these books and download it, and maybe on your way home for the weekend, listen to it. But these books changed my perspective on a lot of things, and they motivated me. I may not have taken the leap to start my own business if it weren't for these books. I guess I should. So Benjamin Hardy, not to bore you at all, but he's an organizational psychologist. And he actually focuses on business and entrepreneurship. So in these books, they've kind of condensed a lot of stuff. I'm not a big reader. I'll start to read a book, and if it gets boring, I have a hard time finishing it. These are condensed into they're smaller books, and you can get through them pretty quick. But he is an organizational psychologist and best-selling. He was featured in Forbes and Fortune magazine, and he's a best-selling author. We'll get to the who, not how. Be your future self, the gap and the gain. But let's get to the business part. Let's get to my business, High Mountain Blinds, what I'm here to talk about, right? So we kind of dropped everything and moved here and started High Mountain Blinds. Probably not the best idea. Sometimes it's best to be in a little bit better position, maybe not quit your job before you start an idea. But my brothers were ready. I read Be Your Future Self Now, and I was ready to take that leap. I said, well, why wait until they sell their business? Why wait until I'm out of a job? Let's go do it now. We looked up, but it was a calculated decision too. We looked up here in this area. I had lived up here. I knew that the market was growing. I knew that there was some potential here. And I asked a few questions. I called up my friend, Professor Hales, Josh Hales, who I didn't graduate. I graduated with his wife, but he was a grade older than us. But he was my buddy in high school. And I asked him what he thought of the area. He talked to Tim Chamberlain over at the business building, and they told me they felt like the market could support it. I looked at population sizes, this area compared to Cedar City, what I'm used to in Cedar City. I looked at how many blinds businesses there were in Cedar City and how many there are here. And we also had a little bit of savings where we could take that leap. But I said to my wife, hey, if we do this, it might be a good idea for you to get a job while we build the business. So there was a lot of sacrifice on her part there. She came here and got a job here at Snow College right away. And guess what? She's still working that job because we're still building this business. Building this, it's a work in progress, right? I wish I could say that High Mountain Blinds is where I want it to be. I'm making a ton of money. I'm making what I want to make. It's not quite where I want it to be, but we're going to measure success by how far we've come and not by where we have to go. Does that make sense? That's almost a quote from the Gap and the Gain. If I could find in my notes. So High Mountain Blinds, we go into a home and do an in-home consultation. We measure. I should say because I'm running the business. I'm measuring, I'm installing. I haven't hired anybody yet. Sometimes I get a little help, but I go in and I measure. I bring my samples in and I find out what they want to put in their home, and I get them a quote. If they're good with it, we move forward. I get them ordered, and then I go install them. That simple, right? Really exciting, right? Am I passionate? Am I passionate about blinds? No, I'm not passionate about blinds. Do I love my job? Yes. Do I love the people? Yes. Is this a new and innovative idea? No. It's rewarding. It's been fun. That's something I've learned through the process. Picking a name, making a logo, making the t-shirt, making swag. And as you leave today, there's a little bit of swag out there. Vistaprint messed up my order 5 times. So there is some cheap little tote bags on your way out. They're not the right color. They're light kind of silver, but our business colors are dark gray. But grab one of those on the way out. Anyway, it's fun stuff, making business cards, getting out there and trying different marketing strategies. The people I get to work with, and customer service. Customer service is, it's not that hard to get out there and do better than another business. And here's why. I can't tell you how many times I've returned a call or shown up to a house and had a customer say, "Thank you for returning my call." People are used to they're used to not having their calls returned by vendors and contractors. They're used to the contractors not showing up when they say they're going to show up. If you show up when you say you're going to show up, if you return their call, that's good customer service. And they're going to appreciate it and they're going to notice it. Getting sales, the best part, right? The first sale and then the next sale, those are rewarding. Okay, I want to show you some real charts from my business. I didn't include the numbers there. Let's go there. This is and this doesn't tell you everything. This is cash flow. Right? So let's use the pointer here. We started in January. I didn't have sales till probably April or May. So what is this? Ooh, there's pretty good cash flows there. That's owner's equity. That's the money we put into the business, right? Looks good, but let's go back a little bit. That's the money we put into the business. And we get a few sales, right? We maybe have to put a little bit more money into the business. We get a few sales. September and October, November, man, sales were really good. I had some weeks there where I was really busy, and I thought if it continues like this, I'm going to do really well. And then, I keep pushing the wrong button there. And then sales die off. And in fact, January, February, March, April, nothing, no sales. What's going on here? And then they start to pick up a little bit, but they're really inconsistent. I get 6 calls in 1 week, and then the next 2 weeks I don't get any calls, right? And then now things are starting to look up a little bit here. Well, let's add in. Let's be realistic here. Let's add in expenses. Is this a profitable business? I'm sharing some stuff with you that, is this a profitable business? I don't, it's only been a year and a half and we're putting a lot of money into, what do you put money into when you start a business? We're putting money into marketing. We're getting by on a little bit of income to build the business. So it's, and sometimes you're putting money into those things at times that when you can see, hey, this is a slow time, let's hit the marketing hard, and when you can see a lot of potential. We still see a lot of potential with the business, and we're starting to refine some of our marketing. So we got out there, and that's what's fun about marketing. When I started this, my brother says, look, we get the most bang for our buck with vehicle decals and from Google and return customers, because he's been in the business for over 15 years, right? Return customers and word of mouth, right? We get the most bang for our buck out of those things. That's where I would put my money, he says. And I got here, I got my vehicle decal. We got our Google profile set up. Really important. When people want blinds, they go to Google, unless they see your decal on your vehicle and they're like, oh, I need some blinds. But I wanted to try a few other things. So I tried radio, and I tried some events, maybe providing swag for different events. It's not the same for every business. One business, radio might be a really, bring a lot of customers, might be a really good choice. Radio, I'm not saying it's a bad choice for me, but there's this marketing funnel, right? Radio's at the top of this marketing funnel, and radio reaches out to everybody. It doesn't necessarily reach out to those that are ready to buy blinds now. So you got to target those that are ready to buy blinds now. I'm starting to dabble a little bit in social media marketing. Haven't done the best at that, but we're going to do better at that, because social media, you can target a lot better, right? And who's on social media? Even our grandmas are on social media, right? So one thing I didn't talk about is knowing your customers. Speaking of grandmas, knowing your demographic, knowing who you're marketing to. Who do you think a blinds company's marketing to?
Maybe either old homeowners that have old houses or new homeowners
Yeah,
building houses.
yeah. Old homeowners renovating, or broken blinds, right? Or new builds, right? That's pretty much. And who is doing that? Who's buying new homes? What let's say age group. Who's buying new homes and who's renovating new homes? So building and renovating, usually, buying. What age would you say? Maybe
Middle aged?
Yeah, middle age, maybe. Let's see, I bought my first home. When would we buy our first home? How old was I, hon? How old were we? Uh, 20s. We're 20s. Yeah. 24, 25. Yeah. I don't know if that might change a little bit. That might have changed now, right? It's a little bit different now, isn't it? So, maybe I need to adjust to that. Maybe I haven't taken that into consideration. Maybe I'm still trying to market to 20-year-olds, right? So that's the fun stuff, figuring that out. And then here's the, what you don't see here is a lot of these expenses are also paying ourselves, taking an owner draw. So you might think, oh, look at all those expenses. They look like they're more than the revenue, more than the income. Well, we have consistently been able to pay ourselves a little bit each month. Not enough for Audrey not that she wants to quit her job. She loves her job here at Snow College. Not enough for Audrey to quit her job, but we are paying ourselves consistently. Just a little idea of those expenses. A lot of businesses, their biggest expense is going to be labor, right? Employees. I guess you could say mine is, because we're paying ourselves, but my biggest expense is manufacturing expenses, because I sell blinds and shutters and shades. I sell them at retail, so I'm buying them from a manufacturer and then I'm selling them. So I have a lot of manufacturing expenses. But I love to go through these and look, okay, next year, what can we cut back on? We're going to cut back on marketing because we've spent a ton on marketing and trying different things. Now we've refined our marketing. We know where to put our dollars and where it's worth the most. And our marketing costs are going to go way down. But we start getting more business. Our revenue is going to go up, but we're also going to have to hire somebody. So our labor expenses are going to go up, right? Vehicle repairs, constant. Sheesh. All right, I'm looking at the time here and seeing about 10 minutes, seeing how many slides we have left. Man, we might have time. I hope you guys have a lot of input and questions at the end, because we might have a little time for that. Please tell me who this quote's from. If you live like no one else, later you can live like no one else. Dave Ramsey. There we go. All right, another book suggestion, Total Money Makeover. It's been a long time since I read it. I need to go read it again. So I'm not going to go through the book with you, but it's a New York Times bestseller. Anyway, there's a book suggestion. But that's part of being your future self now. Having good habits now. Live like no one else now. So later you can live like no one else, right? A couple more book suggestions, and these habits. Having good habits, developing good habits, and breaking bad ones. Read these. These are good ones. I can't say that it was after I read this book that I broke the habit, but it was based off principles of this book. I bit my fingernails for over 30 years, and then one day stopped. My why, my reason for biting them became strong enough that I finally just stopped biting my fingernails after 30 years. Just a little example there. But having good habits, developing good habits, that's something I've seen in common with all of the mentors, all of my who's. We didn't even talk about that yet, but this is who, not how. So when we went to start our business, one thing that empowered me was to realize that I don't have to know how to do everything. I have a lot of who's out there to help me through the process. I don't have to know marketing. I don't have to know how to design a logo. And in fact, my biggest who starting my business was my brothers, right? They had been through the process. They were running a successful blinds company, and they could walk me through the process. So they walked me through every little step of the process, from registering with the state, to opening a bank account, to getting vendors, and we were able to come here, and we were able to hit the ground running with the business. And we had already worked out some of those kinks, and we'd already been through some of those learning curves. So who, not how? Do you have who's in your life that give you the perspectives, resources, and ability to go beyond what you could do alone? About 10 years ago, I was working at the hotel and I was logging up on the mountain at the same time, and went up to work, and we were logging on some steep terrain on the Beaver. I don't know if Beaver Mountain, that's kind of south central Utah, down down I-15. And I rolled the equipment. I rolled over my leg, busted it up pretty good. That's me laying on the ground there. My brother thought that it was a good idea to get a picture of me before they rushed me to the hospital. And then they loaded me in the truck and down the mountain, 45-minute drive down to Beaver Hospital. We get to Beaver Hospital and they look at the leg. I won't show you the pictures. You can find my Facebook, and there's some more gory pictures on there. But Beaver Hospital, they started to cut up my pant leg, and then they started to cut my boots. And I said, you know what? It can't hurt any worse than it already does. Pull that boot off. Don't cut it. Those are $300 boots. And the nurse said, I know what he means. My son just bought some of those boots. So they pulled that boot off, and it was pretty nasty. It was winter time, so I had maybe 4 layers on. So that probably helped keep it from bleeding too much on the way down the mountain. They said, you've got to go to Cedar City. We can't even treat you because of the type of injury it was. So I hopped in the ambulance, $4,000 ambulance ride later. We get to I'm going to get emotional here. We get to Cedar City Hospital, and the surgeon, before going into surgery, he looks at it and he says, "Oh, look, we're going to rod your leg. You're going to be back up on it in a couple days." And then right before he wheeled me in, he said, "Wait a second. They didn't x-ray the foot. This injury is so close to your foot that we need to x-ray. We need to x-ray your foot." Or no, he didn't say we need to. He said, "Sign right here. This says that we can work on it if we need to when we get in there." So I signed there and went in. 4 hours later, I wake up and he comes in and he says, "Well, we rotted your leg. Your foot is too, we can't work on your foot. You're going to need to go to Tosh in Murray, the orthopedic specialty clinic in Murray, and see a specialist on your foot." 2 weeks later, we go up to Tosh in Murray. I won't show you the pictures there. They're pretty gory, and they'll make me cry. But the surgeon there looks at it and he says, "This is too swollen. We can't operate on it. Come back in 2 weeks." So a month later, I finally get the surgery on my foot. My foot was busted up pretty good. He said it looked like a firecracker went off in there. He said, "We pieced it back together, and here's 5 screws in your foot." So there's a rod and 5 screws in your leg, and here's 5 screws in your foot. Went home and finally was able to start healing. This was a difficult time. It was very depressing. It was very difficult for my wife and family. We had just moved out of our house and started renting it, and we started managing some apartments, and we were saving up money pretty quickly. And then this happened, and we didn't have insurance, and so the bills start coming. That's another story. But the point I want to make here is from this book. The gap is the gap between where you are and where you want to be. The gain is the gap between where you are and where you were. There's only one way to measure success. You measure success backward by looking at where you are now compared to where you were before. All the experiences we've went through, I wouldn't trade any of those. We've learned so much. We've gained so much over the years. The business has a long way to go, but it's important to keep this perspective. Focus on the gains. Focus on where you've been, and have that attitude. We have 2 minutes. Any questions? If any of you want to talk, or if I can help in any way, here's my contact information. I appreciate you allowing me to come out and share my story. I hope you get some value out of it. I guess there's no hands up, but
Yeah, I think that's time, Kylie.
okay.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much.